And welcome into our advanced Spire of Eternity playthrough. Today we will be tackling level 3, the final level of the Spire, and this time around we will finally switch to fighting. Now, let's just get into level 3. And let me say a few words about the choices we make here. Unlike negotiation on the first two levels, where we will make the really optimal choices according to parameters we choose, I won't be claiming that the fighting is the most optimal in some sense of that word. One thing is for sure, the manual fighting, if somebody is inclined to do so, will have capability to do better, sometimes significantly better than what we are going to do, because we will be focusing on purely auto fighting. I generally use auto fighting in both tournaments and Aspire for a couple of reasons. The manual fight is pretty clunky, it's not overly exciting here, there's not a lot of variety, and more importantly, I can achieve pretty much anything what I need to using the auto fight. So it's good enough for my purposes. Other people may have different views on that, especially if you're going all in tournaments and may want to conserve some troops. So the manual fighting in the Spire is not as onerous as in tournaments. It's almost impossible to do significant manual fighting in tournaments, except again very tactical scenarios. In the Spire there are not that many encounters to take care of, and each encounter can incur pretty significant losses. So if there are some opportunities to do manual fighting, the Spire would be it. Again, as I said, I'm good with auto fighting here, and well, you can take a look and see if that's something that works for you, or you may want to choose the manual fighting. I mean, there's always the backstop of negotiation, but as I mentioned, that's really expensive, no matter what your production levels are. Full-on level 3 negotiation is just expensive. It's possible to do, but requires much higher production capabilities than what you would otherwise need. So I don't do that. So now, again, as with any fighting, manual or auto, tournament, Spire, or the global map, a lot will depend on what your troop boosts are. I mean, first of all, here we already assume that you have all the, or at least most of the regular troop upgrades. So you have 3-star troops in every troop, or at least most of them. That means you are pretty close. Well, after chapter 15, you get all 3-star upgrades, but probably doable. I mean, it's doable in many previous chapters, but you really want to have some of these high-level, like mercenary camp unit upgrades to 3 stars that are getting. Well, you're gonna get them in chapter 15, so that's really the best time to kind of wrap up the fighting preparations, but you can do it earlier than that. Now, so the regular troop upgrades is one thing, but the temporary boosts are as, if not more important. So depending on which temporary boost you can field for any particular Spire or tournament for what matters run, the results can differ quite dramatically. So in this particular case, again, that a lot depends on what you can afford, how much you get from crafting, how often do you collect there, how often you observe recipes, and so on and so forth. And of course, the actual Ancient Wonder levels that boost damage of particular troops and also boost health for all the troops. So again, there are lots of variables here, so it's hard to come up with any particular strategy that would be applicable for any combination of thereof. So here I can just tell you what I have right now, and that means what I have. The Martial Monastery is at level 21, and that means we have. Let me just quickly check. What do they have there? 22.5 extra health percentage. That's basically almost equivalent to one full-on permanent unleashed unit upgrade. So the other ancient, like military ancient wonder that boost, in this case, individual unit type damage, I have all 5 of them, and they're pretty much all at the same level, which is not super high, and they're between level 11 and level 12. And that means that's an extra 18 to 19% of damage. So these are the permanent buffs. They're not going anywhere, and they can grow to a certain degree until I hit level 30 at least. And the temporary boosts that are currently out there are Fire Phoenix is fed, so that's 50% of extra damage right there. And again, that's very common. I do it pretty much for all the fighting I do in any tournament, any Spire run. And that brings us to another set of temporary buffs, which is temporary buildings, expiring buildings. And yeah, there could be different ones. I generally tend to field them based on the tournament because there's a lot more encounters there. So it's very important to have the right combination, and unfortunately, at least for me, I'm unable to field all of them all the time in multiples, so I have to pick and choose what would be the best value. So this time around, the Crystal tournament is ongoing, the Scrolls tournament is coming up. Both are pretty tough. I mean, Scrolls are probably the toughest one, at least for me. So that means I have a pretty strong boost setup, and that means in this particular case I have one Dwarven armor, so that's another plus 50% of health boost. And I have one of each light range damage boosters, so enlightened light range, so 50% damage boost for light range units. And I have magnificent mage multiplier, which is extra 50% for all mage units. So pretty good and well-rounded lineup for the boosts. But that's, generally speaking, you want to have pretty significant boosts to make sure that your losses in the Spire on level 3 are not debilitating, because it can happen. If you're a bit lower level, your Ancient Wonders are not so high in levels, and you don't have sufficient boosts, you can get smashed pretty badly in the Spire, and even a single loss, or at least the hard-won victory, can make a significant dent in your troop stocks. So, well, we'll try to avoid that. So anyway, so that's again a fairly long preamble on the general troops and fighting setup. And so let's go. Let's see how it goes. Alright, so now we will be ignoring until we have to the diplomatic approach, and we'll focus on what do we have here on the fighting side. And these are all multi-wave fights by now. So the regular ones are 2-wave, and the gate ones, so 4, 8, 9, 12 and 16, the last boss, are all 3-wave encounters. And the squad sizes are pretty massive, so yeah, let's see what we can do about that. So in this particular case, we have the first wave, and let's just quickly check which troops are actually decent for each wave. So okay, yeah, this one is not great. Okay, this one is doable. This one is doable. This one is doable. Yeah, this one is not great. So you see, okay, so these three are or could be okay for the wave number 1. Let's see if there's an overlap with wave number 2. Okay, not great, but doable. Okay, that's very doable. And this one is doable. So, okay, so we have a decent setup here. So let's take a look. So this one is great. So these are 4 units that mages are good against. Let's go back. Yep, again, 4 units that mages are good against. They only have 1 counter unit in each encounter. That's excellent. So let's see which mage we want to use now. Alright, so in the second wave we have 50-50 light range, heavy range and heavy melee. And in the first one we have more heavy melee. So that means, well, playing as an elf, we don't really consider seriously the bard sorcerers. That's not a great unit, to say the least. So banshees are great against light range. So if we would be overweight in, heavy range. So if we would be overweight heavy range here, we would go with banshees. But in this case, we actually have slightly more of the heavy melee, and that's where Blossom Princesses come in. So they are great against that, and we'll go all 5 of the same. Yeah, again, one other thing what I would mention, when I do auto fight, I always do the same unit, all 5. It's definitely not the best setup if you fight manually. However, it's been known for quite a while that the AI is definitely not great when you have a mixture of units on your side. It doesn't necessarily make the same choices as you would do if you would fight in manually. So generally speaking, it's not worth it, to say the least, or sometimes it's actually detrimental to the end result. So the idea is, at least the ones that I'm using, is pick the best unit that you can use all 5 into and just jump into it. So alright, so here's our lineup, 5 Blossom Princesses. And yeah, another good thing about mages in this case, mages are affected by one of our damage boosters, so it's extra 50%, so that's great. So let's go, just auto fight. And as you can see, that was pretty good first wave. And the second wave is not much worse. So these are pretty good losses for the level 3. So I'll take that. That's a good start. You see, that's what I'm saying. Fighting in level 3, and again, that was a good matchup. But if we would be fighting this, sorry, negotiating this, that will start getting expensive. Alright, so let's pick up our catalysts and go next one. Okay, so what do we have here? Yeah, that's not a great unit for this lineup. No, not this one either. Okay, this one is not too bad. This one is not too bad, and this one might be okay. So we'll focus on these three. Let's see, wave 2. Okay, that is definitely doable. Might be okay. This one might be okay. So again, all things are pointing to either light range or mages. So let's see again. Okay, mages here have 3 mages, so 3 comparables versus 2 good opponents in the first wave, and then we go again 3 comparables into 2 good opponents. Not bad. Again, remember that we have the damage boost on the mages, so that's good, but we also have a damage boost on light range, and this one is actually excellent because we have 4 good units against us, good as in weak, against light range, and only 1 counter unit in the first wave. And in the second wave we have 3 weak units versus 2 counter units, which happen to be heavy range, and yeah, both heavy range. Okay, you know that I'll probably go with the light range in this case. They have initiative. The first wave looks excellent. There's a lot of mages against us, and that means we go with the Forest Wardens. Forest Wardens absolutely annihilate mages. They have initiative, they have defense bonus, they have attack bonus. Now we have ELR on top of that. That should be good. The 2 counter units, heavy range is not, not the ones that we have here, not that great against light range. So yeah, that should be fine. So let's see. And as you can see, first wave definitely was pretty good. The second wave is not too shabby either. So again, pretty comparable results to the previous encounter, and overall pretty good. Let's pick up, yeah, fragments and do next one. All right, so let's see. Okay, this one maybe, this one maybe, yeah, no. All right, so you see, this one that's not a great wave. None of the, at least, pure combinations of 5 units do not look particularly great, but at the same time, most of them are actually doable. The losses would be higher than we've seen before, but still. Let's look at the second wave though. Okay, that's doable. That's definitely not great. Mages, that's not great either. That is not too bad actually. Okay, so we'll probably be looking at either heavy range or light range. So for second wave, what we see here is, yeah, we have 3 of the same units or same types, and 1 weak and 1 strong. So it doesn't look overly exciting, but remember we have an extra damage boost among other things for light range, so there's that. On the other hand, for the heavy ranged option, we have 3 weak units, 1 comparable, and one sort of counter unit, and even then the counter unit is heavy melee, and yeah, these are usually not a great opponents unless there's a lot of them. Okay, so let's take a look again at wave number 1. Okay, yeah, that wasn't that great. So 2 comparables, 2 weaks, and 1 counter. This one is, well, we have 2 weak, 1 comparable, and 2 counter units, which happen to be again 2 heavy melees. Okay, yeah, these ones are, we're gonna take some losses here, and really probably the fairly comparable results between light ranged, and in this case we would be taking, let's see, yeah, we would be taking our poison dreads because they're good against heavy melee, or alternatively, sorry, we can go with heavy ranged and potentially with the either senior orc strategists or just the regular golems, the granite golems. In the setups like that, I tend not to like to go with the strategists because, well, they're great against light range, and if there would be a lot of light range here, or especially pure light range or almost pure light range, that would be a great option. Unfortunately, what happens if there's a lot, or at least noticeable amounts of counter units like here, or even comparables like other heavy ranged, they tend to get squishy and sustain quite a bit of losses. So for the encounters like that, when you have counter units, you have comparables, I usually go with golems if I have to go heavy range. Alright, so which one should we go? No, I think in this case extra 50% with initiative and whatnot would be good. So we'll go with a light range option. Let's see. Okay, as you can see, definitely more losses than we've seen before, but yeah, that's not too bad. And yeah, the second wave went again not too shabby, all things considering, so that was a pretty good round, I should say. So there's that. And here comes our first 3-wave fight. So that would be the 7 good encounters, so basically the same setup as we've had for level 2 boss. And 3 waves now. Alright, that's where it gets tricky. Okay, yeah, not a great option. Definitely not a great option. Not a great option. That is a pretty good option. And this is also a pretty good option. So let's see if we can take some of these too. Okay, still excellent option. Not so great option. And alright, so there's a clear choice here. So we're going with light range. But which one to pick? Alright, so let's see. So we have slightly, well, we have mages here and comparables. We have 50-50 mages, heavy melee. And here we have heavy melee and comparables. So again, basically almost the same amounts of heavy melee and mages. So in these cases, I mean, yeah, we can mix and match in this case because they are kind of the same type of units. between the Dryads and the Rangers, or the Forest Wardens. But in this case, let's see. I'm just trying to recall which one has the better damage. Yeah, I think this one has damage reduction. And this one also has damage reduction. Okay. So let's go with the Wardens. And let's see how it goes. Also, the first encounter, first wave is against mages, so it's good to keep more troops for later waves from the get-go. All right, and okay, not too bad. That's the second one was excellent, and the last one. So you see, I'd call it as pretty decent result for 3-wave encounter. So as you can see, we sustained very few losses, and overall our setup in the first 4 encounters worked pretty well. And we've got the teleport building. Alright, and that's that for the first 4 encounters. Let's keep working on encounters 5 to 8 in 9 hours. So I'll make a cut and we'll see how it goes.